Welcome, everybody, to the opening round of the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, the premier amateur road racing series, bringing together top SCCA road racers from around the country. This year, the Hoosier Super Tour will visit some of the greatest tracks in North America, showcasing 23 different car classes. Production to GT cars, prototypes to Formula cars, the Hoosier SCCA Super Tour packs a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. Joining me in the announce booth today is Brennan Kesmerick, and Brian Bielanski will be joining us on Saturday and Sunday. And to kick the season off, we touched down at what was once known as Hendricks Army Airfield, a training site for B-17 Flying Fortresses and the B-24 Liberators. But for almost 50 years now, it's been known by a very different name, and it served a very different purpose. Starting with its first road race on New Year's Eve in 1950, and then soon after the United States Formula One Grand Prix, the concrete that once withstood the pounding of giant airframes has been wreaking havoc on sports cars, both sprint and endurance, ever since, rattling loose every last nut and bolt, maybe even some teeth, Brendan. They're here for longer than most every other road course in North America. So thank you, everybody. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. And good afternoon, Brendan.
Good afternoon, Greg. How are you?
I am doing very well, and I feel like I don't want to say I feel like I'm home, and it's just barely warmer than it is.
Yeah, right.
Charlotte,
well,
North
no
Carolina.
snow here, no snow or ice.
That is good. But I'm very happy to be here to kick off our third season of Super Tour coverage with DriversEye Live.
Yeah, thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be a part of the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. Of course, kicking off our third season of live coverage from all 10 races around the country. Starting off on maybe the strongest possible foot. Over 300 cars this weekend around, as you just so eloquently described. That may be your best intro ever.
Thank you. I'm gonna
maybe just behind VIR last year, but that right up at the tippy top.
Thank you.
It was really, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the anxiety is now behind us, right? We've spent the last couple of weeks getting ourselves ready to go, pretending that we've got all our ducks in a row, and we're good to go and good to go racing, but. Now it matters, right? Now we've got time running off the clock. We've got cars on course. We already had qualifying one sessions this morning.
Yes.
Which we were up setting cameras up and getting our technical infrastructure up and running here on DriversEye Live while cars were circulating. And now we get to set and finalize the grids for racing, which will start a little later on tomorrow morning.
Exactly. All right, so we have our first group of the day out on track. Our first group to have the second qualifying session. It is a small bore production and B-Spec, E production, F production, H production, and B-Spec. But before we get too far into the coverage and let you know how they did this morning, let's quickly take a look at Sebring International Raceway. I think most of you probably are familiar with the track, but we're going to go and cover this again. Former Army Airfield, 17 turns, 3 3/4 miles around this behemoth of a track. And as I said, there are so many portions of this track where the concrete was used as part of the runways back in World War II, and it is very bouncy, and it definitely, although you don't have the elevation changes, it definitely gives you character around this track.
You know, I had a conversation with Greg Creamer, our friend of SCCA, friend of DriversEye Live, a couple of weeks ago, and he passed on a note from Tom O'Gorman, who described Gingerman Raceway up in Michigan not as having elevation changes, but having texture.
Yes.
And I feel like that's appropriate here. This isn't a track that has that contour, that it doesn't have a whole lot of cameras, a little bit up at turn 13. That's really about it. But it does have texture. It has character. It has grit.
Yes.
And as much as people complain about the bumps, and it is a fabric of what goes on here at Sebring International Raceway. It almost defines the circuit.
Exactly.
Right. Top to bottom, the circuit wouldn't be what it is if not for that texture, if not for that surface variation that we talk about so frequently here.
Yeah, indeed. And it certainly makes things very, very challenging here for all of our racers who, certainly a lot of the racers that live down here in southern Florida and down through the southeast come here many times a year. But we've got a lot of the snowbirds that came down last week for the kickoff of the U.S. Majors Tour down at Homestead Raceway. They come here the following week to race at Sebring International Raceway, and you forget a lot about those contours and texture over the course of a season. So let's take a look real quick, Brendan, at how we ended up our first qualifying session of the day for these racers, and we'll just give a little bit of color here coming into our second qualifying session. Our fastest racer of the day was Ken Kennard, who was our 2023 F Production National Champion. Oddly enough, he lives in Sebring, Florida, Brendan, and in his Acura Integra, again, he was the fastest driver at 227.5, almost a full second clear of our fastest E-Production driver, Doug Piner. Piner, you'll see him in the, we'll call it fluorescent green BMW Z3 convertible out here on track. And again, fastest E-Production driver. And then we had Chris Bovis, who was our third fastest. Great fights last week at Homestead between Kennard, who won both Saturday and Sunday, with Bovis finishing second. Now, Bovis in a Honda CRX, you may recognize he's a multi-time national champion in GT Light. New for 2025, GT Light has been melded in to F Production. And we'll have to see how some of those GT Light drivers cope with that. I believe they've had to give up the wings on the back of the cars.
Interesting.
Which certainly for a very short wheelbase like a Honda CRX could be problematic. They've also had to, they've had some other spec changes as well, but we'll have to watch that. Going over to H Production, and last year here at Sebring, he was, well, we'll say the runaway winner in H Production. Mike Ogren in a Volkswagen Scirocco. Ogren ran a 240.829, and that was, I believe, clear the rest of the H Production field by almost 10 seconds. And that leaves us just with B-Spec, where Stuart Black in his Chevy Sonic, fastest driver in the morning qualifying, a 245.2. He was clear of the rest of the B-Spec field by over a second. Josh Schmidt, who, along with Stuart Black, took a race win a week ago at Homestead, was only your fourth fastest driver in B-Spec this week, or so far this morning.
Yeah, it's nice to see a little bit more depth in B-Spec this weekend. It was a pretty good showing last time out at Homestead Miami Speedway, which is, of course, part of the U.S. Majors Tour, as opposed to the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. But feels a little bit more like a little closer to what we left with the June sprints back last June, with a really, really nice B-Spec field. Good to see Chris Taylor here as well in that number 34. We know Chris has kind of been going through it the last couple of months, getting ready for 2025. Stephanie Anderson in 138 in B-Spec as well. A couple of really good runs to close out the season last year. We're missing the GTL moniker on the sides of the cars and on the timing sheet here, but it's still a pretty healthy grid in Group 1, combining B-Spec and, of course, production cars. Yeah, indeed. So in F Production, we talked about Chris Bovis. We also have Paul Lavoli. You'll see him in the white and blue, number 15, Nissan Sentra. And then we also have Mark Weber, who had podium finishes last weekend at Homestead in the number 25 Mazda Miata, as well as Richard Gallup in a Mazda Miata. We've got the husband and wife team of Andrew and Leanna Wright racing this weekend in H Production. Andrew in a Spitfire, Leanna in her Mini Cooper. And we've also got Rob Horrell. I know Horrell was having some mechanical issues this morning, had a retirement at Homestead, and his Honda CRX not running strongly last weekend. So hopefully he's got that, he'll have that squared away. And, you mentioned Chris Taylor. We got Tom Pendergrass in B-Spec, and you mentioned Stephanie Anderson. Joseph Gersh in his Toyota Yaris has come down as well. Got a nice field here. And I'm showing a Nick Patel, who last weekend at Homestead was racing in a GTX, I think it was a Ligier prototype car. This weekend in a Mazda 2. So bit of a transition for Nick Patel, and he'll be in the number 78 machine. So to give you an idea of the schedule today, we are going to have qualifying sessions, Brendan, for five of our 8 different race groups. We'll wrap up qualifying tomorrow. These qualifying sessions all 25 minutes in length.
And so when we go on air tomorrow about 8 a.m., we're going to wrap up qualifying, and then we've got the 25-minute sprint races for all of our race groups. We'll then transition into Sunday, where we've got our 35-minute or 14-lap feature races for each of our groups. Real quick, Brendan, as we're about 10 minutes into this qualifying session, let me make a first call to the grid.
First tones of the year, Greg?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the first time for the stupid tones. All right, here we go. Oh, that sounds so sweet. First call to the grid for race group number 2. That's SMX. Please start heading to the grid. SMX drivers, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. All right, so let's take a look, Brendan, and see where we stand here now with about 10 minutes out of the 25 down in H production. It is Mike Ogren, your fastest racer at the moment. He's got 8 seconds on the rest of the H production field. He's got a 240.419, Leanna Wright at a 248.6. They both set their fastest laps this last time by. Andrew Wright 2 seconds back from there at a 250.1, and then again, Rob Horrell apparently still having some issues with that CRX. He is almost 40 seconds back from Andrew Wright now, lapping at about 3.5 minutes per lap. In F production, Ken Kennard, once again, your fastest driver on track with a 228.95, and Chris Bovis at a 229.433. Then Paul Mavoli, your third fastest driver. Mark Webber and Richard Gallup are right now about 8 seconds back from Mavoli. Doug Piner, your fastest driver once again in E-Production. Sean Sagis in his Mazda RX-7, second fastest driver, and he's about 8/10 back. And then we're seeing, and we saw him at the runoffs. I believe I thought he was running in Touring 4. We're seeing him here in E-Production in a Mazda RX-8. That's Chris Haldeman in the Mazda RX-8, currently a third fastest driver at a 234. Interesting to note here, Brendan, is driving a Porsche 914. We had seen him for a number of years in a Porsche 944 here. And I believe still holds the track record in E-Production, Kip Van Steenberg. So in a chassis that we have not seen him run, that's a 6-cylinder Porsche 914, a 914.6.
Yeah.
Currently your fifth fastest driver in F production at a 236.5. So currently about 5 seconds off the pace.
As we get just to about halfway here, Greg, I think it's probably not such a bad time to reinforce your call to the grid, but definitely to say hello to our commercial partners and sponsors here as part of the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Indeed. Attention in the paddock, second call to the grid for race group 2, SMX. Please head to the grid. SMX drivers, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. And so with that, Brendan, let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors, and we'll be back with you in just a moment with more action from Sebring International Raceway, round 1 of the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. As the world's largest race tire manufacturer, Hoosier has been at the forefront of motorsports innovation for more than 65 years. From local tracks to the global stage, Hoosier is dedicated to delivering high-performance tires that meet the demands of champions. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or an aspiring racer, Hoosier tires are engineered to help you push the limits. For more information, visit us online at HoosierTire.com or visit us trackside, and remember to connect with us on social media.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for SCCA. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Hagerty, let's drive together. Learn more at Hagerty.com.
For more than 30 years, championship-winning drivers have demanded the Hawk Performance braking advantage. Now you can experience that same advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or CUV with Hawk Performance street products. With brake pads, rotors, and fluids that deliver smooth braking for muscle cars and tuners, Super Duty solutions for tow vehicles, custom-engineered motorsports friction designed specifically for road racing, autocross, drag, and everything in between, Hawk has all your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com to learn more. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because they build them with the racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, and now brakes and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts on both street and track. As official tire retailer of the SCCA since 1995 and sponsor the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, National Time Trials Program, and Track Might in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
If you like what you see today, become part of the action by joining the Sports Car Club of America. Whether you want to drive, flag, organize, officiate, have fun with cars, or meet 65,000 enthusiast friends, SCCA offers plenty to feed your motorsports obsession. Ask someone trackside how to get involved, or visit scca.com for more information.
And welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway, the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. He is Brendan Kazmarek.
Most days.
Most days he is, or as I think I called you in the chat, DJ Brendan K.
Well, I just threw up on the old Insta, Greg, the Insta Greg. Today we are 5Gs and a sinus infection.
Yes.
Yeah, today's broadcast being brought to you by Bright Orange Cold and Flu Medication.
Yes.
There are other cold and flu medications available, but...
that's the one that you endorse right now.
Correct, yes, and the value I'm getting out of it, and for that matter, most of the SCCA viewership is getting out of it, far exceeds what I paid for it last night. So we're somewhere in between leaving Homestead and arriving at Sebring this weekend. Some virus or bacteria decided to get involved and contribute a little bit to the opening round of the 2025 Hoosier Super Tour. Another contributor, regular contributor to Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, Brian Bielanski, was due to have joined today, and I could have sat very coozily over here in my production corner. But Brian is a direct impact, or has been directly impacted by the fires in Southern California this weekend. I know there are many, many friends of Brian in the YouTube chat and around the paddock. Brian will be here tomorrow. We just got a text message literally during the ad break from Brian saying that he had finally arrived back at his house after being mandatorily evacuated a couple of days ago. He is safe, the family is safe, the residence appears to be safe as well, and Brian confirmed for us just a few minutes ago that he will be back with Gregg Ginsberg tomorrow morning for a couple of qualifying sessions, and of course for racing action around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we wish Brian well, we wish the Bielanski family well, and glad to hear that everybody's safe, the home is safe, and that even if he can't be with us this weekend, as he was due to be, that he is still going to be part of our opening round of action here.
Yeah, exactly. Glad to see them. And looks like actually Brian's in the chat right now.
Oh my gosh.
Cheering in,
chiming
in.
I want to make it known where he says say nice things about me. I didn't see that before I actually said nice things about him.
Otherwise you would have taken a different tact.
No, I want to be very clear. I chose to do that. Okay. Yeah, no.
That's right. It would be in my nature to take
yeah,
a
sure.
tact.
Well, no. See, what I would normally do is I would just rip on him for being old.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I was really looking forward to it, actually, but under the circumstances, I decided I probably didn't need to do that this weekend. We can save the old Bielanski jokes for Button Willow.
Although, if it helps, as we mentioned, we talked about yesterday, he's got two doppelgangers in the paddock.
Yeah, I know.
So it's really almost like he is here.
Yeah. Yeah. East Coast Bielanski.
Exactly.
Can we talk about a couple of camera angles here?
Yeah, sure.
Greg? Yeah. We've got a couple of new changes and additions this coming weekend as we just head towards 5 minutes remaining in the session. One of them is up at turns 8 and 9. Just to provide a little context for what you're seeing there, these are the right and left sweepers exiting the safety pin down there at 7. Hard on the throttle, flat out to the right and to the left, right up along the curbs and over the bumps and surface changes.
Yep.
Headed into the braking zone at turn number 10. We would have had a camera up at turn 10, but there's a cellular dead zone right on the outside of the corner.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the best we've got. You can also see the skid marks there leading into a brand new banded tire wall that was placed there after old Pipo Durrani had his incident at the 12-hour last year. And then just up the road from there, this is right about where the turn 11 flag station is. So you head out of Cunningham Corner there at turn 10, back onto the asphalt, away from the apex, haul the car back to the left. These cars maybe not fighting for traction so much, but some of our higher horsepower big bore cars or winged formula cars really do fight for traction in that transition back to the left-hander at Collier at turn 11. So these will be up for the duration of the weekend. We've got the turn 14 angle here stabilized out of the wind, which we like. Cars at speed headed into 15 and 16, and then, of course, onto the Ullman Straight, 5/8 of a mile out over the exit curb here, and hard on the throttle up to top speed down into Sunset at turn number 17.
Into iconic Sunset Bend. Exactly. All right, there we go. There's the entrance to Sunset, and you'll see a nice shot coming underneath the bridge, underneath that WeatherTech bridge. There we go. And
it's only WeatherTech on this side, though.
That's right.
Yeah, we're Mission Foods, I think, on the opposite side.
That is right.
Yeah.
It's now Mission Foods, as they now have signage at, I think, at every racetrack in North America.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And then, of course, onto the front straight here. All right, as we've got less than 5 minutes to go, let's take a look here at our different classes, and I'll try to do a little compare and contrast to this morning's qualifying session. We'll start off with the production as Doug Piner just now crosses the start-finish line. He's your fastest D-production racer at a time of 2:33.244, and that is about 2 seconds off the times from this morning. And I should mention that we're right now, ambient air temperature, Brendan, about 70 degrees. When these racers went out this morning for their first qualifying session, it was about 45.
Yeah.
So the temperatures have risen almost 25 degrees. And although I'm sure they're getting their tires up to temp a lot more easily, the engine's obviously not liking it as much right now. So Piner, your fastest driver, but does not best his qualifying time from this morning. Then Sean Seguis, who was second fastest this morning at a 2:31.837, although he is your third fastest driver right now. Well, it looks like Chris Haldeman, second fastest, just turned in a 2:31.358. So it looks like Haldeman and his Mazda is going to leapfrog Seguis for the moment in the Mazda RX-7. And then Van Steenberg now runs a little bit faster than John Bell. So Van Steenberg, your fourth fastest production driver. In F production, Ken Kennard was your fastest this morning at a 2:27.57. And right now, Bovis, who's your fastest driver in this session, is only up to a 2:28.3, so about 0.8 of a second to the good for Ken Kennard based on this morning's times. Then
it is an improvement for Bovis, though.
It is.
Yeah,
it
is. Improvement of time. He'll still, looks like he's still slotted into second there in F production.
Yes, exactly.
But quicker than Piner.
Right. Well,
that's E production.
Well, that exactly.
So it'll put him on the front row of the overall grid provisionally
for the race
tomorrow right
morning.
Up alongside that number 51 of Ken Kennard.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then we've got Mavoli in his former GT Light Nissan Sentra, and then Mark Webber in his Mazda Miata. In H production, it is still Mike Ogren, Andrew Wright, Leanna Wright. Ogren turned in a 2:40.4.
Slow B-Spec here on the back straightaway. It looks like coming to a stop just ahead of the turn 17 corner station. Is that Chris Taylor? We got a little glare here.
Yeah,
in the broadcast
it's one of the Mazda 2s, and I think that is the Chris Taylor machine.
Yeah.
The number 34 car, the City Chevrolet livery machine. And so we'll jump on them in just a second here. So it's Ogren, and Ogren's fastest time this morning, a 2:40.8. He's knocked 0.4 off of that, but Andrew Wright is now down to a 2:42.9. So he's found a lot of time this afternoon, but still second fastest in H production. And in B-Spec, still Stuart Black Black just turned in his fastest lap at a 2:47.4, but that's 2 seconds off of where he was this morning.
Yeah.
With Luke Russell second fastest in the session, and Luke Russell was second fastest coming in, and then Tom Pendergrass. And none of those three have bested their times. In fact, they're all about 2 to 3 seconds off of where they were this morning.
I think that's about where we're going to be here, Greg. It's interesting, you know, when you look at the fact that we've reverted back to qualifying 1, qualifying 2 on our 3-day events here as we go black flag all.
Actually, I think he pulled the wrong flag.
Nope,
it's going to be the checker
now.
flag.
There we go. We got it.
Yeah.
It is not black flag all. Good
Yeah.
catch. We've gone back to qualifying 1 and qualifying 2,
Right.
which means both times, time set in both classes, or I'm sorry, in both sessions will count towards the grid. Obviously, last year was practice and then qualifying. Normally, you'd anticipate that as the weekend progresses, you go faster in Q2 than you did in Q1, but such was the temperature difference this morning compared to this afternoon, as you said, about 25 degrees ambient, and obviously at least 25 degrees track temperature. I wonder if this morning was used to go set the flying lap,
Right.
try and put the quick lap in, get the most you can out of those fresh set of tires,
Right.
and then this afternoon to come out and put in your laps, get a race pace established, tweak the car setup, and focus more on your
On the
approach
long
to the
runs.
race. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, so that is going to wrap up our first qualifying session of the day. Next up, and let's make a final call to the grid for them, it's going to be SMX. Attention in the paddock, attention in the paddock. Final call to the grid for race group 2, SMX. SMX racers, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session starting in just a few moments. All right, so Brendan, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll get set up. It sounds like we've got at least one car that's got to be towed back to the paddock. Let's take a little break. We'll be back in just a few moments with more qualifying action here from Sebring International Raceway, where you are watching the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
Mazda's been very supportive of racers within the SCCA and all the other grassroots organizations for many, many years. Really, their support for racing and our type of racing is unmatched from any other manufacturer. They've been a great partner for many, many years.
Mazda, hands down, is the best company to work with for sports car racing. Factory support is second to none. It just feels right. You feel connected.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway, the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. He is DJ Brandon.
What?
DJ Brandon. Brendan K. No, Brendan Kesmerick, and heading out on track now as if they're having a flying start here, Brendan.
Is that an airport joke, Greg?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. As we've got our SMX drivers heading out for their 25-minute qualifying session, as they were all air jockeying for be the first car going down into turn number 1 here. And
yep, very important to be the first car into turn 1 in a 25-minute qualifying session.
Indeed.
Well, Greg. Yeah.
I mean, when you're looking to pick out your draft partners and what have you, yes, of course, the drivers are they're lined up and they take to the track from the grid. Oh, this
we didn't catch it. That's 26.
Oh, and that is, as you said, the 26 car. And good save there.
It's Michael Tennis.
Yeah. Oh, Michael Tennis, race winner.
Yeah.
In SMX in 2024. Yeah, that's right.
Really easy to do there up on the exit of turn 5, Greg. If you are trying to haul the car off of that exit curve has some real height to it.
Yes.
So it's naturally going to kick the back end around anyway. And if you've got a lot of steering input in the car, as you ride up over that curve, it'll kick the car out to the left. Michael obviously realized that's what was happening, overcorrected back to the right, and then did exactly what you're supposed to do, which is lock the brakes.
Yes.
Michael, fantastic work. Really nice save.
Yeah, I was going to say, it reminds me of the curbing on driver's left when you pop over turn 3 at Road Atlanta, which is very high, and it'll basically pull you right back in to the curbing there. All right, so quickly here, as we've got our drivers on their out lap, let's take a look at how qualifying finished up this morning with Matthew Novak, your fastest driver on course. Matthew coming from the Central Illinois region. He had a qualifying time of 2:28.473. That is the bogey time our racers are trying to improve upon. Ethan Jacobs in the number 199 machine, 28.711, so just about a quarter of a second off Novak's times. Cam Eben coming down from Appleton, Wisconsin, by the way. Ethan Jacobs from Oshkosh coming down here. Eben at a 2:29.269. So a couple tenths back from Jacobs. And then we had Logan Stretch, who put in a good run in that Wheels America car. First ever outing for the Wheels America SMX car at Homestead last week. We got Marcelo Paniccia back here. He's in the number 10 car. He was 5th fastest. And we had 22 drivers set qualifying times this morning. And so, Brendan, one of the things also, as we've got our drivers here now starting their first flying laps, of course, in SMX, and we're going to see this in Spec Miata as well, something for Spec Miata new for 2025. SMX was doing this in 2024 is they've got a tire marking program. Where the drivers, essentially, as long as it's not raining, have to run the same set of 4 tires from their first qualifying session all the way through the second and final race of the weekend.
Yeah, we saw that matter at various points in 2024. The long race on Sunday, 35 minutes, or here it'll be 14 laps maximum, does really kind of wreak havoc if you haven't been kind to your tires over the previous 1, 2, 3 sessions. I count on my fingers. So the race tomorrow, it really is very inviting, right? You want to go out and you've got 25 minutes to try and make up some time, and so you throw everything that you have in the car trying to make up positions and some points, obviously, and then you get to the Sunday race and you've rooted the tires.
Exactly.
You've really got to be kind here to these Toyo tires, and Spec Miata will have that in effect in 2025 as well. Another change to the SMX group this year, Greg, is that there is no Spec MX-5 National Championship as such.
Right.
Mazda Motorsports last year, with SMX being a national class for the first time, ran a points championship throughout the year that ultimately culminated in the national championship runoffs up at Road America last October. This year, SMX is just like any other SCCA class. It is a nationally eligible class, a runoffs eligible class in the Sports Car Club of America. The commitment to helping promote Spec MX-5 has not changed. At Spec MX-5 over on Instagram, and a new channel at spec.miata as well. spec.miata for the SM cars. So Mazda Motorsports has not changed their dedication to helping promote their MX-5-based club racing efforts, but the national champion this year will be crowned at the national championship runoffs as opposed to being a points champion like we saw in 2024.
Indeed. All right, so Matthew Novak, who was our fastest driver in qualifying this morning, Brendan, he was our double race winner at Homestead a week ago, and so he is looking for the four-peat here this weekend. We had Ayrton Grimm finish second, Logan Stretch third in that Saturday sprint race on Sunday. Skylar Cottrell and Ayrton Grimm joined Novak on the podium, but going to the top of the leaderboard here early on in this session is Jack Murchison out of Sykesville, Maryland. When he's not behind the wheel of a race car, he's a pro skier. And he has a time of 2:31 flat in the books right now. And so that is still about 3 seconds off of our time this morning. Interesting development here as far as the types of drivers that we're seeing in Spec MX-5 here. And he's running 6th fastest at the moment. Matteo Naranjo has joined the field for 2025. Matteo was our FRP Pro 1600, or not our, but was the FRP Pro 1600 champion, finished on the podium in Formula F this past year. And I always say he was in one of the most stellar races here on the Sebring Super Tour in Formula F, where he raced Nolan Aller and swapped positions, I think, like 13 or 14 times. He eventually finished second to Aller on track, but very, very talented behind the wheel of an open wheel car and in karting, and he's moving over to MX-5.
Yeah, well, the vehicle dynamics obviously changed substantially between that F1600 Championship Series car that he ran in the past and these Spec MX-5 chassis. The type of racing is actually remarkably similar. Those F1600 cars are way quicker in a group than they are when you're out on your own. They rely on the draft. They rely on a bit of give and take and helping you and your draft partners stretch margins away from the field. Right. Spec Miata is obviously kind of the ultimate example of that, but Spec MX-5 and F1600 FF in the SCCA obviously have similar kinds of group dynamics, let's say. So I would imagine Matteo would feel right at home. Right? Okay, yeah. Maybe the car's a little heavier, a little more power, similar kind of power to weight number.
Yeah, a little softer on the
Yes, obviously, and maybe that was part of it.
Yeah.
Running over the bumps there at turn 17 is a lot more comfortable in one of these Spec MX-5s than it is in one of those Van Diemen's. But when you're racing in a group, wheel to wheel, fighting for position and points, it's all going to be the same, right? So Matteo's got the experience there, and really, really excited to see what he can do with that number 1 car, now up into 4th, at least as far as this afternoon's times are concerned.
All right, moving up the second fastest in the group now, Camden Gruber driving the number 24 Planet Miata car. He is out of Winchester, Virginia. He was with and racing in SMX last season. I can tell you he certainly knows his NC Miatas pretty well. It looks like we just had some driver run off a little bit wide there coming through turn 4. As Gruber holds, I think, the ITS track record at Summit Point Raceway in his NC Miata, and very, very quick racer. Skylar Cottrell, currently your 3rd fastest racer, and Skylar was, I believe, the runner-up at the Road Atlanta Super Tour last year, if I remember correctly. And it's easy to pick out his car; it's bright pink, so you can't miss him here. And Matteo Naranjo now sitting 4th fastest, but again, much like we saw with our production cars just a little while ago, times pretty far off of where they were this morning. And again, I think probably owing to the temperatures here being much, much higher.
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit of self-preservation going on there as well. Obviously, once somebody throws the gauntlet down in the cool sessions, you've kind of got to go chase that lap time, right? If somebody decides, hey, I'm going to go drop a 27 or a 28 or whatever the provisional pull time was this morning, you've got to go try and match that. But when you get to this afternoon, the track conditions are probably not going to help you get close to that time. The atmospheric conditions and the way the cars make their power is not going to help you get back close to that lap time. And if you're not going to be able to get the most out of the car anyway, why would you ask the most out of the tires?
Right.
And in this case, it may be worthwhile to just click some laps off, get yourself into race mode, get comfortable running in a pack or in a group. And, you know, if you had a bad morning session or you had a mechanical issue in this morning session, maybe use this opportunity to get yourself settled into a race pace. Otherwise, no reason to root that single set of tires you've got assigned to you for the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So I want to give a little update on some of our newest SMX drivers who have joined the field as part of the 3 winners in the Spec MX-5 shootout that was held this fall at Homestead Miami Speedway. One of them is Joey Andrews, and Joey this morning, let's see where he finished up. He finished 18th fastest. He is currently 13th fastest in the field, and when I say that they are joining the field via that shootout, means that they have a scholarship from Mazda Motorsports helping to offset their costs and running in SMX this year. So he was one of the 3. In addition to that, we've got Emmy Kissick and Vinny Miskelis. And I do not believe that Emmy is racing here with us this weekend. And Mr. Miskelis, I'm fairly certain his Spec Miata was out yesterday, and there were some mechanical issues. He ran last weekend at Homestead. Have not seen him on track here this weekend. All right, so Brendan, as we are now just about halfway through our SMX qualifying session, let's make a call to the grid for our next group, and we'll take a little break. Attention in the paddock. Attention in the paddock. First call to the grid for race group 3, Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. Lots of 3s there. Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 racers, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. All right, and with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments from Sebring International Raceway.
For more than 30 years, championship-winning drivers and teams have demanded the Hawk Performance braking advantage. Now you can experience that same advantage technology on your daily car, truck, or CUV. With brake pads, rotors, and fluids that deliver smooth braking for muscle cars and tuners, Super Duty solutions for tow vehicles, custom-engineered motorsports friction, designed specifically for road racing, autocross, drag, and everything in between. Hawk has all your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com to learn more. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Summit Racing is a proud partner of the SCCA and its nearly 70,000 members. Get more bang for your buck at summitracing.com. Choose millions of in-stock parts from over 1,500 name brands, parts for racing, street performance, trucks, plus tools, accessories, and more. Shop anytime, anywhere with the Summit Racing app.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because they build them with the racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRaceFuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Mazda Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazda Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazda.com.
Did you know SCCA members can save $20 on every track night they sign up for? That's right, Track Night in America, driven by Tire Rack, now hosting 150 events at more than 30 tracks across the country. It's the easiest and most affordable way to get you and your friends on track in your street cars all year long. Visit tracknightinamerica.com to learn more and get yourself on track.
It's the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, the premier amateur road racing series bringing together top SCCA road racers from across the country. The Hoosier Super Tour visits some of the greatest tracks in North America, showcasing each of our 23 car classes. From production to GT cars, prototypes to Formula cars, the Hoosier SCCA Super Tour packs a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event.
And welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, everybody. It's the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. He's Brennan Kazmarek, and we are here in our second qualifying session of the day. It is SMX with Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 coming up next. And Brennan, we do have a driver off by turn 8. We just had, and you can see now waving caution as maybe we've got some emergency services vehicles responding, and I believe that is the 98 car of Logan Stretch. Is
That's
that
what
correct?
we've been told,
Yeah.
or what we've heard over the corner network, yeah.
All right, so he is there, but we also have a number of racers, and I think somewhat notable here, Brendan, a number of racers that have not taken to the track for their second qualifying session, and I think maybe saw the winds blowing and perhaps saw that maybe that given what they saw in Group 1 that maybe they wouldn't be able to set a faster time here this afternoon. Cam Eben did not come out. We said he was second fastest. Cooper Hicks has not taken to the track. Cooper was your 6th fastest driver this morning in his number 86 machine. Looks like Vaughn Mishko in the 99 machine, who was 17th fastest this morning, did not bring his car out either, and appears as though Dave Pinterick, who we see doing double duty this weekend, I believe in his GT1 Mustang. I believe he's out with the Mustang. I'll double check on that.
Yeah, we saw it this morning.
That's right. That's right, when we were over at turn 7.
Yeah.
So he is also racing once again this year in SMX, and he was 20th fastest this morning and has not brought the car out for qualifying this afternoon.
Hello to Tony Abram in the chat, who asks if I'm the Brendan that calls different races. I am the Brendan that calls different races. I'm mostly Brendan with DriversEye Live and occasionally moonlight as a commentator during Friday qualifying here for SCCA. Our man Brian Bielanski will take over as the much more capable announcer for racing action tomorrow morning. But always a pleasure to join you, Greg, and obviously
you give Brian too much credit. You know that, right?
Well, we gotta build up the Pollocks here. You know? Yeah.
Oh God.
Pollocks stand together.
All right.
And good to have Jordan Worth, the professor,
yes,
the governor, Jordo, on the buttons this weekend as well, kicking off our coverage of the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
I'll tell you, Brendan, besides the action that we're seeing on track here today, we're seeing a lot of action in the air as well. Of course, we've got an active airport just off to our right here. But we saw, and there is, what is that flying up there? It's not over on the airport side. That's over by us. Is that a drone or somebody lose a balloon? Anyway, we had, I think, a SpaceX launch.
That's an airplane, Greg.
Is that an airplane? Oh yeah, absolutely. Doing some
hammerhead.
Doing some aerobatics right in front of us, and we had the SpaceX launch from Cape Kennedy just a little while ago as we were watching that fly through the air. So pretty exciting stuff here, and apparently somebody's flying through the air over at turn 10.
Yeah, one of the things I failed to consider with that camera, Greg, is anytime some of these softer suspension or more compliant tin top cars get up over the curb on the exit of 10, they all disappear behind that cloud of dust.
Yeah.
In the transition back to the left-hander at turn 11. So always excited up there at turns 11 and 10 and 11. A new camera for us this weekend here at Sebring. But yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of these cars, in particular these SMX cars, dropping wheels right as you get on the throttle there coming out of 10.
Attention in the paddock, second call to the grid for race group 3, Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. Please head to the grid. Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 racers, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. All right, so do we still have it looks like the local caution is down over here now by turn 10, but we'll take a look. Actually, pardon me, over by turn 9. We're getting word on that right now. Jack Murchison has turned in 4 flying laps, and it looks like I think he might have called it an afternoon, standing on his 2:31 flat. Again, that is still about 2.5 seconds off of Matt Novak's fastest time from this morning. And we still have a number of drivers out and circulating. Local racer from Jupiter, Florida, Jason Fichter, with a 2:32.869 time that he just turned in. That is almost about 2.5 seconds off of what he turned in this morning. He turned in a high 2:29 this morning as well. Michael Tinnis, who had that early slide, turns in a 2:32.7. Tinnis was our 16th fastest driver this morning at a 2:31.57. So he also has not picked up any time here this afternoon.
Poor Michael there. That slide at the exit of turn 5, he did really, really well to keep the car out of the wall, which is obviously goal number 1.
Right.
But in locking the tires down there, you wonder if maybe he put some flat spots on those
right. And again, that's something that he's going to have to carry unless there is damage done to the tires that they can't continue. That's something that he's going to have to carry through 2 races as well. Now, if drivers do, for some reason, if they do have a damaged tire in either SMX or in Spec Miata, they can swap out a tire. But in doing so, they're going to lose their qualifying times.
Yep, lap times invalidated.
Right, exactly.
With a reminder here, with 3.5 minutes left on the clock, Mazda Motorsports promoting the Spec tin top classes via social media, at Spec MX5 over on Instagram, at spec.miata as well for the SM group, which will be Group 5, and our final qualifying session of the day to come a little later on this afternoon. Next up, we get Spec Racer 4 Gen 3, so kind of a spec class party for us here this afternoon, Greg. Some of the best racing we see in the SCCA along the Hoosier Racing Tire Super Tour, SCCA Super Tour, kind of the national tour of SCCA club racing. Everything kind of aligns for us very, very nicely this afternoon to have some of the best of what the SCCA has to offer. And then obviously we get to go racing tomorrow morning. For this group, it'll be, as I pull up a schedule, should be around 10:40?
Yes, I was going to say 10, I think we have it listed as like 10:30, but yeah, I'd give it a little extra time, 10:30, 10:40.
Trust the schedule, 10:30.
Yeah. All right, so right now, as we run down through some of the drivers here, we've got Camden Hibbett and Aaron Grimm. Actually, Grimm, who we talked about, finished on podium last week, and Grimm, one of our youngest drivers in the field at 15. He started racing in SMX last year at the tender young age of 14. And I think he started in go-karts at age 4, if I remember correctly. So, he's a seasoned racer. Yeah. And so he's running 5th fastest with a time of 2:32.27. And then we've got Camden Hibbett, who is 6th fastest. He is almost 16 years old. So, he looks like makes Ayrton look like he's still in diapers or something. He's in 10th grade right now. And Camden was a 2023 Mazda Shootout winner here, and also, and this is real neat, was drafted 18th by Williams Esports in their Prodigy Racing League.
Oh wow!
As well, yeah, and very, very talented young man.
That Prodigy Racing League, I think, was here.
They were here last
week.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier this week doing their radical testing, right?
Yeah, well, it was racing. They bought out the 7 Sebring, so when I dropped off the broadcast equipment, having driven it up from Homestead, had no place to stay. Had to go into town. But it's a cool little setup they've got there. Like you said, the radicals were just here. So if you're a club racing ascendant driver, let's say, or an ascendant driver in club racing, you've got Homestead last weekend. Obviously, Racing Prodigy 3 Series was here Monday and Tuesday, and now the SCCA Hoosier Super Tour, obviously the pinnacle of them. All running here the second weekend of the year. It looks like we're getting ready to drop a checkered flag here, Greg.
Yeah, got about
under 30 seconds.
Yeah, got a little bit over 20 seconds left on the clock here, and we'll run down the order here in let you know how things finished up, but again, it appears as though most of the racers, and I haven't seen new fast laps set in like 3 laps or so. Looks like we're probably going to, for the grid for tomorrow's sprint race, probably going to fall back on the qualifying times from this morning. Here, but we have a number of racers still out on track. Looks like we've just had a nice contingent come. Actually, you see him right now coming into the Hawk Performance braking zone over at turn 7. And we'll see here.
Zeros on the clock.
Yep, and just waiting for a car to actually come through sunset to give them the checkered flag here. So let's do this, Brendan. As we're waiting for that, let me make a final call to the grid for our next group. Attention in the paddock. Final call to the grid for race group 3. Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. Please head to the grid. Race group 3, Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. You're going to be taking to the track for your qualifying session in just a moment. Please head to the grid. So we're still waiting, and I think those drivers we saw come through the hairpin at turn 7 might have been some of the last ones on track. Here, as we have one of our racers coming through the Le Mans curve over at turn 16 and onto the Ullman Straight. Taking a look at who might still be on track. I think we may still have the 15 of Justin Mason on track, possibly Joey Andrews, and also Brian Heitman as well. We talked about our fastest driver from this morning, Ethan Jacobs, driver the number, probably he wasn't our fastest this morning. I take that back. Matt Novak was our fastest driver this morning. That's what I meant to say. And Matt Novak, there we go, finally getting the Matt Novak taking the checkered flag after a 13-minute lap. Longest lap, might be having some transponder issues. But Matt Novak, our fastest driver this morning at a 2:28.473. And I believe the last driver to cross the checkered flag, Brian Heitman, out of Kansas City, Missouri. So we'll quickly run down. You have the timing pylon on the left-hand side of the screen there, so you can see how things finished up here this afternoon. But I believe, again, at least our top couple of rows will be set from this morning's qualifying session, with Matt Novak turning in a 2:28.473, Ethan Jacobs a 2:28.711, Cam Eben at a 2:29.2, and Logan Stretch, assuming he can get that car back up and running and ready to go for tomorrow morning's race, at a 2:29.283. That's your top 4. Marcelo Panicia, Cooper Hicks will round out the top 6 in your top 3 rows. All right, so as the 5-minute warning for our Racer Ford Gen 3 racers has just been given on the grid, let's take a quick break. We'll be back in here in just a few moments with more qualifying action from Sebring International Raceway. It is the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. We'll be right back.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. As the world's largest race tire manufacturer, Hoosier has been at the forefront of motorsports innovation for more than 65 years. From local tracks to the global stage, Hoosier is dedicated to delivering high-performance tires that meet the demands of champions. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or an aspiring racer, Hoosier tires are engineered to help you push the limits. For more information, visit us online at HoosierTire.com or visit us trackside, and remember to connect with us on social media.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted the fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRacefuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, and now brakes and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts on both street and track. As official tire retailer of the SCCA since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, National Time Trials Program, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for SCCA. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Hagerty, let's drive together. Learn more at Hagerty.com.
Want to try SCCA racing, but with an approach focused on fun and learning? The SCCA Experience Program is exactly that, with both short sprint races you can drive by yourself and endurance races you can do with friends. All you need is an SCCA membership, a driver's license, a properly equipped car, and the right driver gear. Visit scca.com/racex to find more information and events near you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway. It's a 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. Next up here for their 25-minute qualifying session, well, it's right there on the screen for you. Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. And I think our largest or second largest group of the weekend, we had 57 of 58 registered cars set qualifying times this morning. And fastest driver on course this morning, Russ Turner out of Montpelier, Virginia. the DC region driver, turned in a 2:21.287 with Dave Ogburn, his teammate, coming out from San Angelo, Texas. Had some commitments last weekend and was not able to race at Homestead. Dave was second fastest driver to 2:21.570. Caleb Schrader, who joins us from Tigard, Oregon. We've seen him a number of times on the West Coast swings of the Super Tour in the past. Rarely comes east, but we know he is, obviously, he's here this weekend. I don't believe he's going to be racing an FE2, which he also puts a lot of time into, but he's at least racing in Spec Racer Ford. He ran a 2:21.774, so about a half second off of provisional pole. Then Clay Russell, two-time national champion Clay Russell at 2:21.882. Jim Goffrey, Denny Stripling, Jacob Lawler, Nick Resputo, who I've known for a number of years through sim racing, and I think this is his very first year racing in a Spec Racer Ford. Saw an event that he entered in, a regional event in the fall. Actually, it was the CFR Turkey Trot.
Yep.
Here that he raced this fall, and he was 9th fastest. Todd Vanacore, 10th fastest, and good to see Nick racing. I thought he was going to race at Homestead last week.
No, he was here on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday running Radicals.
Yeah, the racing prodigy.
Exactly. Yeah, I knew I saw Nick Resputo's name here recently. Yeah, he was absolutely here this week already. So should be up to speed with Sebring International Raceway. Spec Racer Ford Gen 3 isn't quite a radical, but not terribly far off. No, less aero.
No. And so with the field out here, I guess if we take a look last week at Homestead, Brian Schofield, as he many times does, he ran the table there, took both wins.
Yeah, down at Skomstead Miami Speedway. The 7 out of 8 we figured out it was?
Yeah, something like that. And I think it goes a lot further back than that. Almost every year we show up and he's taking both wins at Homestead. Usually ends up taking both races here. And as I'm looking down through the order, trying to see where he finished up this week, or this morning, pardon me. No, I'm still looking.
Up top there, Greg. Way too low.
Oh yeah, maybe I should start a little further up. That's right. Fifth fastest.
Yeah.
All right. So,
what are you doing looking for Brian Schofield down at 51st?
I don't know. I always start from the back. It's like reading the grid. I start from the back, and work my way up. And should be noted here that Denny Stripling, who on last weekend at Homestead on Saturday, finished on the podium. Finished third. He had a lot of issues with that car, though, with cooling, and had fallen back quite a bit during the Saturday race from his teammate Russ Turner, who finished second, and of course Schofield, who won eventually, but didn't make it past the pace lap on Sunday. Brought the car in, and apparently lots of radiator issues. They were still tracking things down. Obviously, got through a 25-minute qualifying session this morning, but still, when this group went out for qualifying, it was probably around 50 degrees. It's still rather cool.
It's really not the time to be testing and making sure that your cooling system is where it needs to be. This afternoon is much closer to the temperatures you're going to need to plan for tomorrow and on Sunday again as well. Tomorrow we're headed for the mid-60s. We're around 64, 66. A little bit of rain forecast potentially tomorrow morning, or at least some showers in the Sebring area.
That'll make the Rain King Bill Skibby awfully happy, I'm sure. Or you as you go out and put out cameras.
No. Although that is when the rain is expected to splash across Sebring here.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, not ideal.
No, not at all. I'll have to see, as I know that, my new adopted hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina, they're supposed to have freezing rain tomorrow morning, and we'll see how my mother deals with freezing pipes tomorrow morning, or freezing streaming servers.
Sure. No, Greg, don't say that.
All right, I probably just jinxed it. Anyway, all right. So, we only have. Technically one lap in the book. That's the outlap. Congratulations, Patrick Stringer. You are our outlap champion in Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 with Ray Moser, Mark Silverberg out there. But nice big field once again.
The biggest of the weekend, I think, Greg.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was very close. Andrea King in that Gulf livery number 08 machine. I think she and her I don't think her husband is racing this weekend in Spec Racer 4 Gen 3, but they have shared a racetrack before. In addition to that, who else here? Vaughn Mishko, who I think we were expecting to see just a little while ago in SMX.
Yeah.
Now out here in Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. We saw last weekend at Homestead two teammates, Trey Ayers and Arvid Albanese, running nose to tail. And they are currently 19th and 20th fastest with 1 lap in the books. Tom Burt, who races, I think, in like 16 different classes. He was in E-Production in a Mazda RX-7 last weekend at Homestead. I think he was also...
I think he's still entered this weekend.
Yeah, he may very well be. Actually, I think he ran an... No, he didn't run in E-Production last weekend. He ran an ITS. He actually ran, I think, a regional class at Homestead. But, I have like 4 different entries for him. All in different...
We got a car just about in the wall. Yep, tags. The tire bundles there to driver's left. Looks like maybe dropped a wheel on the exit of turn number 1. Very, very easy to do, and then spun the car across the track and just very, very lightly tapped the conveyor belt, the painted conveyor belt there on driver's left. Looks like he's able to continue and also have somebody off here at turn number 7.
Actually, might be 2 cars. Her 2 cars got together over at turn 7. I think one of them may be the 45. We'll get a number on that.
I think you're right, Greg. I saw that over on our Flagtronics stream just over your left-hand shoulder here. Look like 7's maybe cleared up now. Yeah. So the most chaotic 25 seconds, and then all of a sudden we're completely back to normal.
Back to green flag racing.
Yeah. The turn 1's been a tricky corner already this weekend. Claimed a couple of our Spec Miata drivers, claimed a big bore car earlier this morning during qualifying 1 as well. I mean, turn 1 is tricky under normal conditions as well, but the cold temperatures this morning and a little bit, I think, yesterday evening during the Sebring test day, just caught a couple of cars out.
Yes, and I mean, yesterday, as the temperatures had receded, I think the last 2 groups at the end of the day were running in about 45, 50 degree temperatures as well. All right, so now going to the top of the leaderboard in this session, we had James Goffrey sitting at the top, former Gen 2 Spec Racer Ford national champion. He has now been eclipsed by Denny Stripling, Racer X. He's driving the number 14 machine, turns in a 2:22.914. That is still about 1.9 seconds off of the fastest qualifying time set by his teammate, Russ Turner. Now, interestingly enough, Brendan, last weekend at Homestead, in qualifying, as Denny Stripling and his teammate Russ Turner were working together to set qualifying times, we were trying to determine who would end up on pole, and it turned out not to matter because Brian Schofield set the fastest lap. But we had Stripling and Turner turn in identical lap times to the 1,000th of a second on 3 different occasions.
Yeah, so I thought about that, Greg. Do you know why that happens? Specifically at Homestead.
No, well, you're going to tell me.
I am. So I had this thought as we were wrapping up the SRF3 race on Sunday afternoon. When you have cars come by start-finish, nose-to-tail bump drafting, right? They are locked together with the nose cone or that little mail slot that we call the air inlet.
Almost right up against the back of the car by the little cage.
Contact there.
Yeah.
So when you come across start-finish to begin your lap, touching the car in front of you, and then you come back around and do the lap again, still touching the car in front of you?
Absolutely.
You are, of course, going to do the exact same lap time.
It's going to be the same distance. Yeah,
yes.
But you would think even by 1,000th of a second or something like that, if you're even that much off of that cage
Greg,
in the back.
If you're bump drafting coming down that front straightaway, touching is touching.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's it. And so that's why you see that particularly at a place like Homestead, because you're flat out from the exit of 8 all the way around the start-finish. Mail slot right up against the rear suspension, right up against the gearbox of these SRF Gen 3s. same lap times over and over and over again. Probably not likely to see the same here.
Probably not here at Sebring. But we have a new fast lap set by Brian Schofield, who now turns in a 2:22.507. And again, that's about 1.2 seconds off of the times from this morning.
Yeah. Consistent drop-off from this morning to this afternoon across pretty much all of our classes thus far. Good start to the year for Brian Schofield, though.
Yeah, without a doubt. Not interesting to note, but good to note here. Had a driver come and meet us over at the tech trailer last night. Sam Schechter, driver of the number 55, light blue 55, Spec RX3. He's out of Boyd's, Maryland. Last weekend at Homestead, Sam Schechter, another racer that he races with very, very often, driver of the number 30 gray Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. That was Mac Harrison. They and I think one other racer all came together, got together coming out of NASCAR Turn 4. And we had Schechter go to the left into the wall. Over there, we had Harrison come all the way down right underneath our camera, practically at turn 1. And both of them got these tanks of cars back ready to go. And they're out running today.
Spinner up there at the exit of 5.
And
this car pointed in the right direction, but not before a couple of cars had to take evasive action.
And please tell me that isn't the 55 car that just went around.
Like the 191.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was saying, hopefully didn't bring out the preemptive announcer's curse, and I think that's actually, there's the 55, I think, is Schechter. I just didn't know for sure after Schechter had the car, had some fiberglass work done last week. I didn't know if it would be looking a little bit different now, but thankfully that was not the 55 car. All right, your top 5 racers on track right now: Schofield and Stripling, Jim Goffrey, Dave Ogburn, Nick Resputo. That's your top 5. Actually, now let's change things up a little bit as Resputo now drops back to 7th, and that is because, welcome to the chat, everybody, driver of the number 97 machine. That is Jacob Lauder. And good to see him out here. Lauder turns in a 2:23.2. Then Dave Ogburn, Clay Russell, 2-time national champion in the gray number 31 machine. Then Resputo. Then Caleb Schrader, Todd Vanacore, and Russ Turner. Not to be confused with Clay Russell. Russ Turner, who was our fastest driver in qualifying this morning and still holds provisional pole. He is only 10th fastest here this afternoon.
This may be our featured race group of the weekend here, Greg. As we said, it is the largest run group we've got. Typically, that's been held by the Spec Miatas. I think the first Super Tour race we ever covered here at Sebring International Raceway was something like 90 cars on the grid. And it was amazing to watch, but it was chaotic. The SM entries have tailed off a little bit. We're now in the low 50s for the Spec Miatas here at Sebring.
Where have they all gone?
Trouble. But the SRF Gen 3s have really kind of filled that void, if you like, in air quotes, really, really nicely. Fantastic field. They obviously put on some tremendous racing last weekend. As part of the U.S. Majors Tour at Homestead Miami Speedway, and this is one of my most looked forward to race groups for this weekend, especially after the showing we saw last time out down at Homestead. The year of the Spec Racer, I think I'm calling it. Appreciate everybody joining us now. About halfway through our Friday coverage, 9 minutes 30 seconds left. Halfway through, or on our middle group, let's say, for Group 3. 5 run groups this afternoon for Q2, as it is this year. I think it's probably a good time, Greg, to take a quick break, make a call to the grid for group number 4, and we'll rejoin you on the other side.
Attention in the paddock, First call to the grid for race group 4, GT1, GT2, GTX, Touring 1, Touring 2, and American Sedan. Race group number 4, GT1, GT2, GTX, T1, T2, and American Sedan. Please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action from Sebring. You're watching the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
For more than 30 years, championship-winning drivers have demanded the Hawk Performance braking advantage. Now you can experience that same advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or CUV with Hawk Performance street products. With brake pads, rotors, and fluids that deliver smooth braking for muscle cars and tuners, Super Duty solutions for tow vehicles, custom-engineered motorsports friction designed specifically for road racing, autocross, drag, and everything in between, Hawk has all your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com to learn more. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, and now brakes and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts on both street and track. As official tire retailer of the SCCA since 1995 and sponsored the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, National Time Trials Program, and Track Might in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories on and off the track, which is why Sunoco has trusted the fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRacefuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. As the world's largest race tire manufacturer, Hoosier has been at the forefront of motorsports innovation for more than 65 years. From local tracks to the global stage, Hoosier is dedicated to delivering high-performance tires that meet the demands of champions. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or an aspiring racer, Hoosier tires are engineered to help you push the limits. For more information, visit us online at HoosierTire.com or visit us trackside, and remember to connect with us on social media.
If you like what you see today, become part of the action by joining the Sports Car Club of America. Whether you want to drive, flag, organize, officiate, have fun with cars, or meet 65,000 enthusiast friends, SCCA offers plenty to feed your motorsports obsession. Ask someone trackside about how to get involved or visit SCCA.com for more information.
It's the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, the premier amateur road racing series bringing together top SCCA road racers from across the country. The Hoosier Super Tour visits some of the greatest tracks in North America, showcasing each of our 23 car classes. From production to GT cars, prototypes to Formula cars, the Hoosier SCCA Super Tour packs a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway, where we've got, Brendan, an earlier than expected finish to our Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 qualifying. You can see their checkered flag is in the air, and I think part of that is we've got a car off now over by the exit of the Sunset Bend coming onto the front straight.
Yeah, we could see it on the Flagtronics display here. I think maybe you can kind of see a car, but the wall moves around in such a way there that it's tough to see from, I mean, the length of the front straightaway here. And unfortunately, while we have a Flagtronics display for the car that's over there at the exit of 17, it's not tied to a car number. It's just the Flagtronics ID
number, yeah. So we'll try and pick it up and see if we've got, again, it's going to be hard during qualifying because we just see if they've run fewer laps than everybody else. But as the checkered flag comes out, Schofield, fastest driver on track at a 2:22.507. And again, that's 0.7 off of Russ Turner's time from earlier today. Denny Stripling with a 2:22.532. Then Caleb Schrader at a 2:22.6. Jim Goffrey at a 2:22.9. And then Jacob Lauder. So that gives you our top five. Then Dave Ogburn, Clay Russell, Nick Rice-Puto, Gianclaudio Angelini, and Todd Vanacore make up your top 10. But our 10th fastest driver, he was at 2:23 and change. Actually, you know, talk about being consistent there. Todd Vanacore, we'll have to take a look. Let's see here. I think, nope, Todd Vanacore is going to hold on to it, I think, over over Gianclaudio Angelini. So it looks like we'll run down the top 10 here. We're going to run into our basically the top 10 should be made up from what we had in qualifying. I'm not going to go all 57 cars deep, but Russ Turner should hold on to Cole with a 221.28 set this morning. Then Dave Osborne should start beside him. Then Caleb Schrader and Clay Russell, Brian Schofield, Jim Goffrey, Denny Stripling, Jacob Lauder, Nick Rice-Puto, and Todd Vanacore should be the top 10 drivers. When these racers head out on track, they are scheduled to race tomorrow morning at 11:10 a.m. So temperatures might be, well, again, it depends on what the weather's like, but it'll probably be fairly similar to what they've got now.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out on the weather tomorrow morning, Greg. With those showers that are supposed to come in early, I actually don't know that we're going to be terribly different conditions from what we've got now. It's supposed to be a little bit of clearing and partly cloudy weather tomorrow, late morning and into the afternoon. And we've got this high cloud that's starting to roll in from the north and west now. So these conditions, these track conditions specifically, may become relevant in these later groups. Big Bore coming up next, and then Spec Miatas again for Group 5.
All right, so let's do this, Brendan. Let me make a final call to the grid for our next group, and we'll take another quick break. Attention in the paddock, attention in the paddock. Final call to the grid for race group 4. Big Bore, GT1 and GT2, GTX, Touring 1, Touring 2, and American Sedan. Race group 4, GT1, GT2, GTX, T1, T2, and American Sedan. This is your final call to the grid. All right, so let's take another quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action after we get some cleanup done here at Sebring International Raceway. You're watching the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
My customer experience with Mazda has been absolutely fantastic.
I'm probably not the richest person out here, and they're extremely reasonably priced, and you can buy parts easily, and it's a class that fits both what I want from a racing standpoint and what I can afford.
We got into Mazdas largely just because it's a fantastic platform, and Mazda Motorsports has some of the best support for the grassroots racer in parts and technical advice and everything else, so they make it easy for us to run these cars.
Picture your perfect garage. How many cars are in there? Great, great. Now picture reality. How many cars can you actually have? Me too. With SCCA Club Spec, one car becomes your daily, your track car, your autocross car, even your time trials car. S197 Mustang if you like V8s and torque, NC Miata if you like compact and agile. SCCA Club Spec, spirited dailies, competitive race cars. Learn more at scca.com.
Attention in the paddock. Attention in the paddock. With the following drivers, please report to the SOM. Sam Schechter, driver of the number 55 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3, and David Dickerson, driver of the number 38 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. Please report to the SOM. Sam Schechter, driver of the number 55 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. David Dickerson, driver of the number 38 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. Would you please both report to the SOM? Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway. It's a 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. First round of a 20-round season, a 10. Brian calls Saturday and Sunday different rounds, but we're just going to go 10 weekends, 10 rounds of the Super Tour this year. And as we've got our drivers in Big Bore heading out on track, Jordan, can we bring up schedule so we can show people where we're going to be here this spring and summer? Of course we can. There we go.
Looks broadly similar to the 2024 schedule, Greg.
Broadly, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, some shuffling going around. The first thing I've noted, that February 22nd and 23rd weekend out at Buttonwillow Raceway Park. We've been to Buttonwillow plenty of times before, but this will be on the circuit.
The circuit.
At Buttonwillow, which is the new course that's been curing for the last year and a half or so. Out there just to the west of what is now, I think, called the Classic at Buttonwillow.
Yes.
We're
kind of like Coke.
Sure. Sure. I don't drink Coke.
I know.
Not really my speed.
So sorry.
No, it's okay. We're looking forward to that tremendously. That's it's a 2.9-mile circuit, 10 turns. Really allows all of our cars to stretch their legs, and they're going to run their first race on the new track in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Out there with the U.S. Majors Tour, and then we go back, obviously, the end of February. Nolan Motorsports Park moves down to March.
Yeah.
They're just outside of New Orleans. Road America and Watkins Glen, as you pointed to the screen, Greg, also switching places.
That is correct.
Yeah, Road America June Sprints moves up to the beginning of the month.
Going back to its more traditional weekend.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I've been involved, or we've been involved with DriversEye Live, that it's been the other way.
Right.
With the season closing up at the June Sprints. To me, that feels right, but obviously I've been told that more often than not, June Sprints take place in early June.
Yes.
Make way for the Cheese Capital Cup. Our friends over in
at the National
Trans Am.
Park. Yeah, the friends with the National Park of Speed.
Yes.
Yes.
Should create a group for Sebring. The airfield of speed. I don't know. We'll come up with something.
Well, yeah, we'll find something.
Yeah.
All right. So as we've got our big bore drivers on track now for their qualifying session. By the way, this outlap goes a lot more quickly than it did for Spec Racer 4 Gen 3. Let's take a look at how things finished up. We'll start first with GT1, as Tony Ave was your fastest driver on track this morning at a time of 2:02.186. Michael McAleen, who I believe ran the table last year in GT1. He certainly won that rain-filled race that we had, the feature race on Sunday, in his Lamborghini Huracan. Michael McAleen in second fastest in GT1 at a 2:02.3, and Joseph Frieda in a Chevy Corvette third fastest. In GT2, fastest driver on track this morning, Barry Bowes in his Ford Mustang with a time of 2:09.480. Then we had Jonathan Start in Dodge Viper. Jonathan turned in a 2:10.552. And then we had Justin Elder in a Chevy Camaro. And I believe that was a TA2 car, much like Barry Bowes' car. And Elder turned in a 2:12.246. In GTX, Jacek Muka in his Dallara P217 was your fastest driver on track this morning, and or probably fastest in GTX.
Yep.
Second fastest overall, with a time of 2:02.299. Then Jeff Lindstrom in a Ford Mustang, GTX Mustang, and then Colin Harrison also in a Mustang. Big gap between all of them. In T1, it was Jonathan Vasquez in a BMW M3 at 2:15.697. Then Mark Bowden and Hugh Stewart. We got word actually just on Wednesday evening from James Candelaria, who took the wins both days in Touring 1 at Homestead, that he had come down with an illness, would not be racing with us this weekend. I know he expressed how much he was looking forward to the fights with Hugh, and good to see that Hugh Stewart got his car fixed after Homestead had some mechanical issues, but really wanted to see where that Corvette stood against Mark Bowden's machines in those fall line cars. In American Sedan, Michael Kamalian, who's now moved over to American Sedan. Last year he ran, I believe, in Touring 3 in this Ford Mustang after years racing in the production, actually in GT Light. He was your fastest American Sedan racer with Maury Doyle, second fastest. And who else am I forgetting? Oh, I'm forgetting our Touring 2 machines, where Scotty B. White in the number 0 Dodge Viper was your fastest car on course at a 2:20.8. James Davidson, who we saw last weekend at Homestead in his Chevy Corvette at 2:21.4, so about 0.6 off. And then Bruce Griffin also in a Chevy Corvette. And I believe that one of those two cars, I thought it was Griffin's car, ran in Spec Corvette last week, and one of those cars did, but the Spec Corvette car is also eligible for Touring 2. And actually, it was James Davidson who ran in Spec Corvette. Griffin ran in T2, took the win in T2 both days.
Yeah, a little change to the dynamics here with our big bore group. I think this is the first time we will see Touring 2 mixed in with the big bores. Typically, we see them in the touring classes, T2, T3, T4.
Right.
Obviously, this year, GT3 has become GT3U. We'll talk plenty about that tomorrow when they hit the track for qualifying.
Right.
But T2 has slotted up to kind of make it to fill that void.
Right.
And I think I'm right in saying, Greg, there's a view towards AS in T2.
Yes.
becoming one in the future?
It's still a little bit up in the air.
Okay.
It has not been finalized yet, but
Yeah.
if it does, it would be 2026 at the earliest. But
Sure.
originally out of some of the conversations, some of the future planning that had been announced over the summer, that was, I think, the initial plan. But for the time being, those classes are still working as if,
of course,
they are not going to be combined.
Some smoke there in the background, or dirt there in the background for one of the Corvettes exiting turn 7 and into turn 8. But it's worth noting, Greg, kind of all points towards a pretty cool growth pattern.
Yes.
Or growth plan for Touring 2. We're up in the Big Four group now. The Spec Corvette spec line having been added to Touring 2. We saw a tremendous Spec Corvette regional class turnout down at Homestead. And those cars being able to run very nearly as is in Touring 2 at national level events, like obviously we have here with the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, is really, really cool. Really looking forward to see what Touring 2 holds for us as we head through 25 and into the future with SCCA Club Racing.
All right, so let's see where we stand right now. Currently your fastest driver on track with a time of 2:03.859. That is Michael McAleenan in his GT1 Lamborghini Huracan, the Tacoma, Washington driver. Now still not quite to where Tony Ave was this morning. Again, the bogey time for GT1, 2:02.186. So still about 1.7 seconds off. Joe Frieda, second fastest GT1.
Car stopped on the back straightaway here, Greg. Looks like one of the recovery vehicles headed to go 10 to that car. And I don't have eyes on who that is.
72, possibly?
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Or is he in the paddock?
No, I think you're right, paddock, yeah. Electronics, obviously a tremendous system, helps with awareness, safety, reaction times, all of those things. Unfortunately, the safety vehicle that is tending to our stop car is covering up the car number on the back straightaway there. So don't exactly have eyes on who that is. About 2/3 of the way down the Ullman Straight.
Yeah, we think that it might possibly be the 7-2 car, and we're trying to get a beat on that right now. But as soon as we get some confirmation, we will let you know. As it sounds as though we're just hearing now from cars on course that I think the 16 cars, or turn 16's. All right, it was the number 7 car, and getting word that the 7 car lost a wheel on the back straight, and that's Maury Doyle in the American sedan Ford Mustang.
Yeah, the word that was used was lost a tire.
Okay.
And that can mean one of a couple of things.
Tire could have gone down.
Right, tire goes down. If it goes down explosively, it often takes body work with it and spreads it all over the place. It looks like there actually may be either a tire carcass or a piece of debris there just before the braking point or the liftoff point for turn 17 in these big bore cars.
Just even with those 2 cars right there.
So the yellow has been cleared, as now that car has been recovered into the cutout in the wall there on the Ullman Straight, but the piece of tire carcass or piece of debris there does remain and will probably remain there until the end of the session.
All right, let's take a look and see where we stand in some of our other classes here. Obviously now under full course caution. Or not, did I say that? Not under full course caution, but with that local caution that we had coming into the back straight, we may see times, at least for a lap or so, being off a little bit. We saw again up at the front in GT1, Michael McAleenan, Joe Frieda, Tim Kesman. Good to see Tim back, the Milwaukee, Wisconsin driver. I think this is the first time I've seen him in GT1. Typically it was in a GT2 Porsche. So Kesman with a 2:11.184. That's pretty big spread in GT1 right now. But we only have 5 drivers come out. Looks like Dave Pinteric and Tony Ave, who was our fastest driver this morning, did not bring their cars out for qualifying. In GT2, Barry Bowes, who was our fastest driver this morning, he has a 2:09 flat. So Brian, first driver that we're seeing here leading class that has improved upon morning times. as Barry Bowes has dropped almost 4/10 from what he ran this morning. Jared Odrick in the 00 car. Great to see Jared back here. He's racing in a 2018 Ford Mustang. He was our 2023 national champion in GT2. Turns in a 2:11.814. And looking to see where he finished up qualifying. Jared was 4th fastest in qualifying this morning and turned in a 2:13. So he's found another 2 seconds himself. Austin Jers 3rd fastest. In Touring 2, Bruce Griffin and James Davidson. For some reason, I want to say James Madison. I don't know why. Griffin, yes, that might be.
Oh, waving here at turn 7, Greg.
Yeah, we've got a local caution here coming into the Hawk Performance braking zone. Maybe somebody didn't get the word that's the Hawk Performance braking zone.
Yeah, wrong pads.
Yeah, we'll try it.
Oh, it's Jacek Buka.
Yeah, and the prototype car there off on the side of the track.
So either Jacek has found a way to re-livery his Dallara Cadillac
or
GTX
or it's
car,
a different chassis.
or he's got 2 Dallara Cadillac GTX cars. Exactly, Greg.
Because it is, I guess what, it was fully carbon fiber black.
It was in the Mustang sampling livery.
Oh, okay.
Run by Action Express previously.
That's right.
Last weekend down at Homestead, and this weekend is in kind of Gulf livery,
yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding, he's got a whole stable of cars.
Yeah, sure.
Down there, so who knows? But so that appears to be an issue. And in GTX, remember, he was our 2nd fastest driver this morning. He now turns into 2:07 flat, and that was about 5 seconds off of what he did this morning with Jeff Lindstrom and Colin Harrison in their Mustang, still 2nd and 3rd. And Nick Patel, who we saw earlier in the SMX car, brings out.
Happening.
It does bring out his Ligier prototype car, but considerably off the pace. Right now, he had some issues with that car last week at Homestead, and he is almost 25 seconds off the pace currently. And you know what? Now we know why Tony Ave did not bring out the GT1 car for this qualifying session. And that is because, and we saw him race this car at the runoffs this fall, that is because he's out in his Porsche 991.2 machine, the GT2 car, 2nd fastest in class to Barry Bowes now as he goes a bit faster than Jared Odrick, as does Austin Jers now. So it's Bowes, then Ave, then Jers, then Jared Odrick, now 4th fastest. Jers just now turns in a 2:10.419. Barry Bowes has gotten even faster. He's now down to a 2:01 flat.
Be interesting to see if our friend Jared Odrick can drum up a little extra motivation. His Penn State Nittany Lions last night fell to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Oh my!
Down in Miami.
So you think he's driving angry today?
Well, I do wonder a little bit. Fellow, actually, is Jared a Pennsylvanian, or did he just play at Penn State?
No, he's from. I'm fairly certain. I know he still lives in Pennsylvania.
Oh, he's from Lancaster.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Well, Lebanon, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Gotta go say hi to Jared.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Not Pittsburgh, Ben. On the right side of the state. Yeah, Jared was unfortunately involved in our opening lap kind of green flag schmozzle last year as this race began just after lunchtime to some light sprinkles. Unfortunately, kind of put a downer on the whole weekend. But with the conditions we're anticipating for the rest of the weekend here, this big bore group, I think, is really going to deliver some cool stuff. It's a good-sized field. We already talked about Touring 2 and the new things coming for that class. A really healthy GT2 field as well. Yeah, very, very excited to see what big bore and Group 4 holds for us when we go racing tomorrow morning.
They're going to be our last race before lunch, scheduled for 11:50 tomorrow.
There we go.
All right, Brendan, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. I've got some announcements to make, and we'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action. Attention in the paddock, Spec Miata racers, please head to the grid. Spec Miata racers, please head to the grid. Also, with Tom Gray, driver, Spec Racer Ford 3, number 64. Pardon me, Matt Gray, Sorry about that. Matt Gray, driver of Spec Racer Ford 3, number 64. Please see the race director. Spec Miata, please head to the grid. And Matt Gray, driver of Spec Racer Ford Gen 3, number 64. Please see the race director. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action from Sebring.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. As the world's largest race tire manufacturer, Hoosier has been at the forefront of motorsports innovation for more than 65 years. From local tracks to the global stage, Hoosier is dedicated to delivering high-performance tires that meet the demands of champions. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or an aspiring racer, Hoosier tires are engineered to help you push the limits. For more information, visit us online at HoosierTire.com or visit us trackside, and remember to connect with us on social media.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
Tire Rack was established over 40 years ago by an SCCA member with a passion to find the right tires, wheels, and now brakes and suspension products for racers and enthusiasts on both street and track. As official tire retailer of SCCA since 1995 and sponsor of the Runoffs Pole Award, along with the National Solo Program, National Time Trial Program, and Track Night in America, Tire Rack is proud to support the SCCA and its members as they go have fun with cars.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because they build them with the racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
Summit Racing is a proud partner of the SCCA and its nearly 70,000 members. Get more bang for your buck at summitracing.com. Choose from millions of in-stock parts from over 1,500 name brands. Parts for racing, street performance, trucks, plus tools, accessories, and more. Shop anytime, anywhere with the Summit Racing app.
Did you know SCCA members can save $20 on every track night they sign up for? That's right. Track Night America, driven by Tire Rack, now hosting 150 events at more than 30 tracks across the country, is the easiest and most affordable way to get you and your friends on track in street cars all year long. Visit tracknightinamerica.com to learn more and get yourself on track.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for SCCA. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Hagerty, let's drive together. Learn more at Hagerty.com.
You ready? Oh, and welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway, the 2024 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. He's Brendan Kazmarek. And Brendan, and just as we were coming back from break, we were trying to get some information. It looks like Jared Odrick had some issues coming out of turn 3 in his Ford Mustang. He has continued, but not before he brushed up against the tire wall over there on the exit. And Jared currently running 4th fastest, and had just come off running his fastest lap of the session at 210.7. As we now have just about 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. And sounds as though another driver was having some issues. Randy Johnson of
not that one.
Not that one.
No.
Didn't hit any birds. Randy Johnson.
Well, we don't know that.
Yeah, that is possible. In his that might have been the mechanical
problem,
issue.
actually.
In a T2 Touring 2 Ford Mustang, and he's out of Tacoma, Washington, so you never know. Randy Johnson taking his Mustang back behind the wall. And for those of you, I guess you had to be a baseball fan from the late 90s, early 2000s.
I don't think you do. I was not a baseball fan. I'm still not a baseball fan, but I definitely wasn't back then either. And I know who Randy Johnson is. Like, you just you got to know, right? Yeah.
All right, let's take a look and see where we stand now with a little bit over 3 minutes remaining in qualifying. Let's start off with Touring 1 and our fastest driver, Mark Bowden, with Hugh Stewart second fastest. Bowden turns in a 2:15.261, and he started off the day, or ended off this morning with a 2:16.660. So we're starting to see now where these times are starting to flip, and we're still running around 70, 71 degrees outside. Hugh Stewart, second fastest at a 2:16.65, and he is almost a second faster than he was this morning. But let's take a look, because John Vasquez turned in a 2:15.697 this morning. He was the fastest driver, did not bring his car out for the second qualifying session, and so looks like both Bowden and Stewart have leapfrogged Vasquez, with Danny Lowry in his Mercedes-Benz AMG GT4, currently fourth fastest, or third fastest in the session, I think fourth fastest on the day. Michael McAleenan just resetting fastest time overall, now with a 2:02.616.
Yeah.
And that still not getting down to the 2:02.1 that Ave set this morning.
No, but I'll tell you what, Greg, we've been a lot further away from this morning's times in other classes. We've been up 2 to 3 seconds above this morning's provisional pole times. So that half a second differential that Michael McAleenan has in the number 3 Lamborghini is closer than we've generally seen in this afternoon's initial qualifying sessions. Be interesting to see if this turns on its head tomorrow morning when we have groups 6, 7, and 8 head out for qualifying. If maybe the lap times start to improve and we go from being off the pace in Q2 to being under the pace in Q2. Let's wait and see how things go. Tomorrow morning we'll be live, of course, at 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's 5 o'clock Pacific time. Your man Brian Bielanski will be on the call with Gregg Ginsberg. And I get to sit in my cozy corner over here for production and sit with Jordan Worth, who's on the onesie and the twos today. Just under a minute remaining in Group 4 qualifying 2. Headed towards the checkered flag. One more break, and then our final qualifying 2 session of the day, which will, of course, be the fan favorite, Spec Miata cars.
That's right.
And just as it was for SMX a little earlier on, Mark tires this year in Spec Miata. So, again, kind of a wait and see here. This isn't, it's not an unknown. I think everybody kind of knows what they've gotten themselves into here. But there is an amount of self-preservation going on for those Spec those Spec Miatas.
All right, and the checkered flag is now being displayed, or will be displayed on the front straight as our first cars to see it come out of the Sunset Bend and onto the front straight. So we'll let a couple of these racers come across the line. We do have a lot of debris that was brought onto the track coming out of the hairpin at turn 7, going to turn 8. So probably on this last lap, not a lot of fast laps being set. So let's run down the finishing order here. Michael McAleenan, again, fastest on track here, and actually I believe he is still working on track in that bright green Lamborghini Huracan. We'll see if he can improve upon a 2:02.616. Not likely, however, as Tony Ave was about half a second faster this morning. Joe Frieda, second fastest in this qualifying session at 2:07.9. Tim Kesman at a 2:11. So big spread in GT1. And GT2, Barry Bowes with the 2:09.001 that he set 2 laps ago. Does improve upon his times from earlier today. Tony Ave turning in a 2:09.408. Second fastest in the session. And for all of our GT2 cars, should be set for second fastest in GT2. Should note that we're probably going to see Ave run one day in GT1, the next day in GT2, or flip that, but we're going to see him split the races. Austinger, Jared Odrick, your top four there. In American Sedan, Michael Kamalian is your fastest driver over the course of both days, then Tom West and Maury Doyle. In Touring 2, let's take a look and see, because we've got a new name up at the top of the order, although he is also in a Chevy Corvette. That is Brian LaCroix. LaCroix was your fourth fastest Touring 2 driver this morning, fastest on track this afternoon. Let's see, he turned in a 2:21.953, but the fastest time that we had set was by Scotty B. White earlier today in the first qualifying session, turned into 2:28.34. Scotty did not bring, and he was the only Touring 2 driver to not bring a car out for the second qualifying session. Bruce Griffin, then James Davidson, your top three on track today. In GTX, Jacek Muka, Jeff Lidstrom, and Colin Harrison. And it looks like Muka did get that car back underway after we saw him off track for a bit. And then finally, in Touring 1, Mark Bowden, your fastest driver on track in his Mercedes-AMG GT4 with a time of 2:15.26, then Hugh Stewart and Danny Lowry.
Got a little debris to go pick up there underneath the bridge at turn 17 in between the session break here, Greg.
So a little bit of time, but let's do this. We'll make a final call to the grid for our final group, and then we'll take a quick little break. Attention in the paddock, attention in the paddock. Final call to the grid for race group number 5, Spec Miata. Please head to the grid. Race group 5, please head to the grid. Your qualifying session is next. And we'll take a quick break. We'll be back here in just a few moments from Sebring International Raceway, 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour.
For more than 30 years, championship-winning drivers have demanded the Hawk Performance braking advantage. Now you can experience that same advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or CUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With brake pads, rotors, and fluids that deliver smooth braking for muscle cars and tuners, Super Duty solutions for tow vehicles, custom-engineered motorsports friction designed specifically for road racing, autocross, drag, and everything in between, Hawk has all your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com to learn more. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
Summit Racing is a proud partner of the SCCA and its nearly 70,000 members. Get more bang for your buck at summitracing.com. Choose from millions of in-stock parts from over 1,500 name brands, parts for racing, street performance, trucks, plus tools, accessories, and more. Shop anytime, anywhere with the Summit Racing app.
Ready for a new race trailer? Bravo Trailers is the exclusive trailer partner of the SCCA. Owned by longtime SCCA racers, Bravo Trailers work better, load easier, and tow better because we build them with racers in mind. Visit bravotrailers.com to see your new trailer in aluminum or steel.
For more than 100 years, Sunoco, SCCA's official fuel partner since 2001, has been fueling victories on and off the track, which is why Sunoco is trusted to fuel over 50 series of racing, driving, and winning, including the SCCA National Championship runoffs, SCCA Pro Racing, Trans Am, and NASCAR. To find race gas near you, visit SunocoRacefuels.com or call Sunoco at 800-RACE-GAS.
Want to try SCCA racing, but with an appropriate focus on fun and learning? The SCCA Race Experience program is exactly that, with both short sprint races you can drive by yourself and endurance races you can do with friends. All you need is an SCCA membership, a driver's license, a properly equipped car, and the right driver gear. Visit scca.com/racex to find more information and events near you.
It's the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, the premier amateur road racing series bringing together top SCCA road racers from across the country. The Hoosier Super Tour visits some of the greatest tracks in North America, showcasing each of our 23 car classes. From production to GT cars, prototypes to Formula cars, the Hoosier SCCA Super Tour packs a ton of wheel-to-wheel racing action into every event.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway. It is the 2025 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg, along with Brendan Kazmarek, and heading out on track right now. It is our final qualifying session of the day. We are going to have 3 more qualifying sessions to lead off our coverage tomorrow morning, but right now it is Spec Miata, and we had 50 Spec Miatas set qualifying times this morning, with Preston Pardis, the fastest of all, multi-time national champion, turning in a time of 2:34.072. That is the bogey time our other 49 drivers are looking to best. Frankie Barroso turned in a 2:34.086. So what is that? 14 thousandths of a second off of provisional pole this morning. And then the Goulart pair. We had Elvin Goulart, who's our 2012 national champion, third fastest with a time of 2:34.917. And look at this, Brendan. Shades of the runoffs where dad and son, Ethan Goulart, is your defending now national champion in Spec Miata. They set identical times in qualifying. You said with Spec Racer Ford how difficult it would be here to set an identical time versus at Homestead. Well, for the second time that I know of, both Elvin and Ethan Goulart have set identical lap times. That's what they did at the runoffs over 4 miles.
The theory is the same, Greg.
Yeah.
As long as you're touching, it's going to be the same lap back to back.
There you go. Yep. And so Ethan, who started on the pole with his father on the outside of the front row, they today are, well, they're 3rd and 4th with identical lap times as we've got our drivers now on their out lap. We'll start to see lap times come in here in about 5 miles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this session plays out. I think we all kind of anticipated, as did many of the drivers, we were pretty frank in discussing what they thought the combination of Q1, Q2, and tire marking was going to be, and that was that we would see a pretty calm Q2 session. You might not even get all of the participants in the group to come out and set times. That doesn't kind of seem like the case here. It almost looks more like we've got everybody kind of jockeying for position, trying to get themselves lined up with their drafting partners, their racing partners, and we may actually see some flying laps put in here, as you said, Greg, once we come around here and set our first qualifying times in around 4 or 5 miles.
Attention in the paddock with the following drivers. Please see the race director. Nick Patel, driver of the number 182 GTX machine, and William Griffin, driver of the number 132 GT2 car. Please see the race director in impound. Nick Patel, driver of the number 182 GTX car, and William Griffin, driver of the number 132 GT2 car. Please report to impound. Also, David Dickerson, driver of the number 38 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. Please report to the SOM. David Dickerson, driver number 38 Spec Racer Ford Gen 3. Please report to the SOM. All right, as we've got our drivers now starting their first flying laps. And in Spec Miata here, Brendan, just a week ago at Homestead, we had Ethan Goulart take the win both days. And Frankie Barroso, second fastest driver in qualifying today. He finished on the podium both days, finished second on Saturday, finished with the bronze, finished third on Sunday. And one driver I want to take a look and see if he is here and in the field. I was a little surprised to see him after all the time that he spent in the Pro MX5 Cup ranks. Nate Cicero, who was the MX5 Cup Rookie of the Year, I think in 2023, finished on the podium both days as well, but I don't believe that we have Nate joining us in the field here today.
Spec Miata field, as we said, got groups of 5+ cars, and a couple of them dropping wheels on the exit of Tower Turn. They're at turn number 13. Reminder that Mazda Motorsports, in addition to helping promote the Spec MX5 class on Instagram, despite it not being a national touring championship as such this year, also has a social media promotion going for Spec Miata, at spec.miata on Instagram. You can follow along with all of the SMX.
And also they've got a new page set up specifically for them on Facebook as well.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think spending a lot of effort there in promotion of what has been, for the past number of years, from an entry standpoint, the largest class in club racing. Both on the SCCA side in national racing with the U.S. Majors Tour and also the Super Tour, but from a regional standpoint as well, and a very good sign. And it was very funny earlier this year as Brian Bielanski held his Inside the SCCA podcast, and he admits that perhaps he wanted to title that episode something a little compelling and to entice people to watch and listen, and I think he called it I think it was is Spec Miata dying or something along those lines, knowing full well that Mazda was going to be making this huge marketing push from the class. Good job, Brian. It really
it's almost like Mr. Bielanski knows what he's doing.
Exactly.
Isn't that wild?
All right, let's take a look here now as we've got a full flying lap in the books. Daniel Williams out of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, your fastest driver on course at the moment, a 236.300. Owen Clark at a 236.321. Then with Travis Wiley, and it's been a while since we've seen Travis. He's now out of Mooresville, North Carolina. When he started running here on the Super Tour, I believe he was out of, I believe it was Austin, Texas, but he is your third fastest driver early on at a 236.354. So at the moment, our top driver is about 2 full seconds off of the provisional pole time set by Preston Pardis.
Yeah, these qualifying 2 sessions obviously aren't, as we get 2 off becomes 4 off there.
And that's one of the Goulart cars, I believe.
Yeah, it looked like it. Is it one of the Krug Speed cars?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm anticipating these sessions to not necessarily be beneficial for the drivers that are constantly within a couple of tenths of a percent of maximum lap time, right? These 236s, 237s that we're seeing for most of the field, and certainly the drivers that set times earlier on this morning, probably not going to benefit them in any way. But there is something to be said here for drivers maybe visiting Sebring for the first time, drivers that didn't run the test day yesterday in advance of the Super Tour officially kicking off this morning. Maybe this is their opportunity to get a little bit more confidence underneath them, to get some more laps behind the wheel of the car and understand where time can be made up, to get a little bit more comfortable running in a pack or running in the draft. Right, those are the drivers that do stand to gain actually quite a bit from this qualifying 2 session. Go out, put a couple of lap times in, get comfortable, maybe find a couple of tenths here, a second there, because obviously you can move yourself up even 5 or 10 positions up the grid by being, let's say you move from 50th up to 35th. That's still worth a lot in the end.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And I know we mentioned it earlier, and I think as it pertained primarily to SMX, but new this year for all rounds of the Super Tour, much like in SMX and Spec Miata, we are going to have tire marking in place. So you need to be able to make these Hoosier SM 7.5 tires last from the very first qualifying session all the way through the 35-minute, or in this case here at Sebring, 14-lap feature race on Sunday. And whereas in previous years in Spec Miata there were some gentleman agreements, or gentle persons agreements, we'll say, and also it was written into the supplemental regulations back in 2023 at a few of the Super Tour rounds, but now this is going to be part of the series all season long. I don't believe it applies to every U.S. Majors Tour race, but it does for the Super Tour. And I think, again, it makes the drivers think more about their strategy from that first qualifying session down to the final race. And I think given that, I would bet that we probably saw drivers put in their fastest laps and their hardest laps here this morning.
Yeah, if you look at it from a purely competitive standpoint, if I were going to offer my own personal opinion, it's a little bit of a bummer, right? I love to see the Miatas just, wrung out within an inch of their life.
Yes.
Right? Like, just go out and foot to the floor and get everything you can out of the car, out of the tires, and really run these things to the absolute limit. That is some of the best racing we've seen in Spec Miata over the years.
Right.
But it's not always about that. A lot of times it is about helping control costs. Spec Miata and any spec category, it's spec in the name of helping to control costs, but inevitably, if you start looking for hundredths of seconds, you do have to spend to go find that. And where the class isn't necessarily designed to help prevent all of those things and all of those dollars being spent, one of the ways you can help control that is with tires.
Right.
And limiting these competitors to one set of Toyo tires for the balance
Hoosier
of the weekend.
tires.
Or Hoosier tires, excuse me, for the balance of the weekend. Toyo's in the Spec MX-5.
Correct.
Hoosier's here. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point being that, okay, maybe we've taken a little bit away from outright single lap or single race pace and wheel-to-wheel competition, and we've turned that into, okay, how well can you manage this very specific limited resource over the course of a weekend? Will it result in less wheel-to-wheel action? It might.
It might.
Remains to be seen.
Sure.
We'll know more come Sunday afternoon in the second race in particular, but in the meantime, it adds this tremendously fascinating strategic layer that we haven't had before in Spec Miatas, and I'm really, really intrigued to see how that pans out here in rounds 1 and 2.
All right, as we're now tracking these drivers running across, going up to fastest car in the session, Matt Stretch in the probably not Planet Miata car, in the Wheels America car, 235. 974.
Still not really close to this one.
No, yeah, still almost 2 seconds off of the provisional pole time. Todd Burris, who is our 2019 national champion, second fastest at a 236.1. Matt Fosnock at a 235, and now we've got some movement as Ethan Goulart now moves up and puts in the fastest lap time of the session at a 235.670. So we're still about a little bit over a second and a half off of the times that Pardis put in earlier, and there are 4 drivers that did not put in or did not go out on track as best we can tell. Preston Pardis, who was our fastest driver this morning. Frankie Barroso, who was our second fastest driver this morning. Mark Curley, and let's see where Curley was earlier today. No, I'm still looking for Mark. I don't think he went out for qualifying at all this morning, so, well, that might explain things. Christian Meyer in the 197 car also did not bring his car out, and Christian Meyer was 6th fastest this morning. So it looks like the 163 car may not we may not have seen that. Oh, no, I take that back. Mark Curley, 25th fastest this morning. All right, so let's do this. We are now just a little bit past halfway in our final qualifying session of the day. Let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors, and we'll be back here in just a few moments with more qualifying action from Sebring.
Hoosier Racing Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of this year's Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. As the world's largest race tire manufacturer, Hoosier has been at the forefront of motorsports innovation for more than 65 years. From local tracks to the global stage, Hoosier is dedicated to delivering high-performance tires that meet the demands of champions. Whether you're a seasoned competitor or an aspiring racer, Hoosier tires are engineered to help you push the limits. For more information, visit us online at HoosierTire.com or visit us trackside, and remember to connect with us on social media.
Summit Racing is a proud partner of the SCCA and its nearly 70,000 members. Get more bang for your buck at summitracing.com. Choose from millions of in-stock parts from over 1,500 name brands, parts for racing, street performance, trucks, plus tools, accessories, and more. Shop anytime, anywhere with the Summit Racing app.
Hagerty is the official and exclusive insurance partner for SCCA. Hagerty provides affordable off-track insurance protection for motorsports vehicles while in the paddock, in transit, in storage, and at the shop. They provide guaranteed value coverage and even have protection for your trailers. SCCA members can save 5% on insurance through Hagerty. Hagerty, let's drive together. Learn more at Hagerty.com.
Mazza Vineyards is the exclusive sparkling wine for podium celebrations at the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour, SCCA Runoffs, and Tire Rack SCCA Pro Solo. Celebrate your racing weekend with Mazza Vineyards and learn more at enjoymazza.com.
For more than 30 years, championship-winning drivers have demanded the Hawk Performance braking advantage. Now you can experience that same advanced technology on your daily car, truck, or CUV with Hawk Performance Street products. With brake pads, rotors, and fluids that deliver smooth braking for muscle cars and tuners, Super Duty solutions for tow vehicles, custom-engineered motorsports friction designed specifically for road racing, autocross, drag, and everything in between, Hawk has all your braking needs covered. Visit hawkperformance.com to learn more. Hawk Performance, what's stopping you?
If you like what you see today, become part of the action by joining the Sports Car Club of America. Whether you want to drive, flag, organize, officiate, have fun with cars, or meet 65,000 enthusiast friends, SCCA offers plenty to feed your motorsports obsession. Ask someone trackside how to get involved, or visit SCCA.com for more information.
International, everybody, it is the 2024 Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour. I'm Gregg Ginsberg. He is Brendan Kesmerick. Brian Bielanski will be joining us tomorrow for the remainder of qualifying and also our races both tomorrow and on Sunday. And of course, we have got Jordan Worth, Director Extraordinaire, bringing you all the views of this weekend's action. I want to thank him. Nearby Daytona, as a matter of fact.
Nothing is nearby Sebring. Greg, we're 2 hours
exactly.
from everywhere.
It's like going to Hallett.
No, at least Hallett's 45 minutes
from everything.
Sebring is literally 2 hours from everywhere. Ooh, car off in the background there.
Yeah, looks like car going around, coming through turn 17.
Right in front of just past our 17 exit camera there.
And is that the driver out of the car, or is that a worker responding? I see somebody wandering around there, and I see some smoke up in the air.
Yeah.
We'll try and get a number on that car here momentarily. Ethan Goulart's still your fastest driver on track at 2:35.67. Sean Noonan moving up to second fastest, 2:35.8. Elvin Goulart at 2:35.8, and Matt Stretch. That's your top four.
Just getting some updates from turn 17 in our headsets there regarding the car that's off just at the exit of 17. They're judging the car to be in a safe position. So the driver is out and behind the wall. It's good. So we may be able to finish this session out.
All right, Elvin Goulart just resets fast lap at a 2:35.54. So still a second and a half off of this morning's time. No big changes there. And it looks like we've got some of our emergency services workers going to respond to that car over on the exit of the Sunset Bend. Wow. That was
body roll on that truck.
Yeah. More importantly, so look at how much the rear end of that truck stepped out. Oh my gosh. Handles like a T4 car.
I will say this is an amazing opportunity to highlight the Alan J safety team. Here at Sebring International Raceway. They are some of the best in the business, unquestionably. Some of the incidents we recovered last night at the end of the test sessions and again this morning.
So quick.
Almost to the point where you can't believe it.
Well, we heard this morning, and I believe it was when Spec Miata was out for their qualifying session this morning. Somebody was off at turn 1, heard that there were some repairs that were needed to the wall, and not just the tire wall, but the concrete behind the tire wall. And next thing we knew, cars were ready to go 10 minutes later. I mean, it was great. All right, so we do have now just about 6 minutes remaining in qualifying. As looking a little bit further back in the field there, we saw here coming into turn 3 now, that second car in line, that is Nick Bruni, who was our 2022 national champion, shared the national championship with Preston Pardis. And he is now sitting back in 9th position. I'm sure not where he wants to be with a fast time at 2:36.167.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter much, Greg.
No.
The times we saw this morning.
Yeah, well, again, it may matter a little bit because Bruni's fastest time, his fastest time in qualifying earlier today in session 1. I did 20th fastest at a 2:36.52.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know, so again, he hasn't gotten much faster here. He's
But
picked up
4
4 tenths.
Yeah, where does a 36.1 put him on the grid from this morning?
36.1 would put him
right around
13th.
13th. Yeah.
Or so.
All right.
Again, Todd Burris, one of his
Yeah.
E-Street teammates, has found 0.04 of a second.
Yep.
He was 13th earlier today.
So I'll say this, Greg. While it's obviously not as cool as it was this morning, and we're not down in the 34 flat range like we were, in this morning's qualifying 1 session, we do have this high overcast layer that's sort of settled in from the west side of the circuit down to the east. I wonder if just in the dying minutes of this session, if we've had the track temperature drop
a little bit,
to be able to get some of these guys that were mired down in 15th, 20th, and beyond the opportunity to pick up some pace. I will say, when I said drivers that weren't within hundredths of a second of the ultimate pace every lap, I didn't have Nick Bruni in mind.
Right.
But it's obviously benefited him. 4 tenths is 4 tenths. You'll take that no matter, whether that's 2 positions higher on the grid or 10.
Big mover from qualifying session 1 to qualifying session 2. Nick Leveroni, who is your 2019 Touring 4 national champion. Leveroni, who finished the morning session. Where did he finish the morning session? I don't even see him on the rundown sheet from this morning. He is now sitting 6th fastest in the session. This session at a 2:36.1.
There are a lot of cars right in there in that 2:36.1.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Leveroni was actually just behind Nick Bruni. He was 21st.
Yep.
This morning.
So 4 tenths for him as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So finding a lot of time there. Leveroni right in that pack there that we see coming through turn 3 in one of the flat-out motorsports cars. I believe he is the lead car in that pack. Might be the 3rd car in the pack there, the dark blue with orange numbered machine, as we've got just a little bit under 3 minutes remaining. You'll notice here as we just saw 3 cars come into the Hawk Performance braking zone over at the hairpin turn 7. The 2nd and 3rd cars in that line are Todd Burris and Nick Bruni. Trying to pick up who the lead car there, the blue and white machine, is. Not positive who that is. I don't know if that is Matt Fosnacht in the 53. Regardless, he's just now run wide. That's probably not going to help Burris and Bruni.
No, I don't think so.
As he had some issues coming through turn 8.
Cameras proved to be worthwhile for most of our day today.
And you see there that that blue and white machine is now rejoined back behind the donut machine, the donut bar.
Well, we've got just under 2 minutes on the clock here, Greg. Want to again send well wishes out to Brian Bielanski out in California. Was due to be on the second microphone today. If you weren't joining us earlier on for Group 1, Brian has been directly impacted by the fires in Southern California. Was not able to make the trip out. He is safe, his family is safe, and his residence is safe. And Brian will be with us tomorrow to join us for qualifying
starting at
Group 6, 7, and 8.
Exactly. Group 6, 7, and 8.
Yep.
Our open wheel group, Group 6, Group 7, Super Touring and Touring, as well as Super Touring Light. Those 3 groups going to be on air tomorrow morning, starting at 8 a.m.
8 o'clock, yep. In the meantime, I will say it's been a tremendous thrill to join you, Greg.
Thank you.
For qualifying 1 for these first 5 groups. This event, 16 years ago, was my first ever SCCA event.
Yes.
Marshalled down at turn 17 with Stu Cowett, who's upstairs this weekend.
Who is, I think, our chief steward this weekend.
He's operating steward.
Operating steward. Okay.
And also the Florida region RE.
Yes.
He's here this weekend. Spent the weekend down there with him at turn 17, 16 years ago for the 29th winter vacation. And now here we are for DriversEye Live
for the 45th.
Yeah, in beginning year 3 of the Hoosier Racing Tire SCCA Super Tour with Driver's Eye Live coverage as the checkered flag waves. We're going to wrap up our Friday coverage here in a couple of minutes, but you and Brian are going to start the season off tremendously strong tomorrow.
Thank you.
Looking forward to your coverage and your insight and your expertise throughout the day. We'll be right over here on the production PC with Jordan Worth up in Daytona. But yeah, real thrilled to be able to join you and bring things a little full circle.
Absolutely,
Cool.
and certainly not the only time that you will be picking up the microphone.
No,
here this weekend. So. Basically, we're going to have you almost every single Friday qualifying for 3-day events. I think with a few exceptions here. Absolutely, and of course, yes, you're absolutely. Who was it earlier today? Said, "Hey, I think I've heard Brendan's wonderful voice before. He's one of the voices of the WRL Endurance Series, and of course, on Driver's Eye Live."
Yeah, so, this is it's kicking off what should be something like 500 hours of amateur motorsports coverage with Driver's Eye Live. We're tremendously fortunate to have great partners, great supporters.
Thank Greg,
and also Greg. We're very privileged to do what we do, and the Super Tour really anchors the beginning of our season here. Yes. So this 10-race calendar that culminates with the race up at Watkins Glen in June. Everything we get to do between now and then is stuff I really, really look forward to. Why are you laughing?
Best comment of the day from somebody called B. Tyler. Says, "Who knew a boy from Pittsburgh would grow up to flag his first race at Sebring?" It's a rags to riches story, isn't that right, Ben?
You know, the funny thing is I would fire quips back at Ben, but number one, it's not professional, and number two, none of them are appropriate.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see how things wound up here. You can see there at the top of our timing pylon in purple, Elvin Goulart turned in the fastest lap time. What you don't see on that pylon is he did it on his 5th flying lap, brought the car in almost immediately afterwards. That 2:35, 5:49, not besting what he set earlier today. Matter of fact, I believe based on those lap times, Elvin is going to stay 3rd fastest overall based on his times from this morning. And so Preston Pardis with a 2:34.072 set this morning should be our pole sitter for tomorrow morning's race. And actually, I say tomorrow morning. It's actually going to be tomorrow afternoon. Spec Miata should be our first race after lunch tomorrow, scheduled to start at 1:25 p.m. Frankie Barroso, who, like Pardis, did not go out for the qualifying session this afternoon, scheduled to start to Preston's right on the front row, with Elvin and Ethan Goulart starting 3rd and 4th. Then I believe we will have, let me double check here. We should have Aiden Fosnock out of Madison, New Jersey, starting 5th. Christian Meyer scheduled to start 6th. Jose Alfe, who had a great run in that yellow and greenish number 19 machine, he will start 7th, and I think Matt Ramirez will start 8th. And as I look at I don't usually have to do these little merges in my head here, except at the runoffs. Oh my gosh! All right, and then I believe row number 5 should be made up with Max Hewitt and Vinny Miskellis, and I'm not going any further than that.
We'll have a chance to review that with the Mazda Motorsports starting grid tomorrow when racing begins.
That is correct.
Group 1, coverage begins at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll start there, right? Please do join us for groups 6, 7, and 8 qualifying coverage. Grab yourself a cup of coffee and a breakfast Sammy.
Get one for me.
And settle in to the dulcet tones of Gregg Ginsberg and Brian Bielanski. Racing coverage begins tomorrow at 9:50. And, of course, we'll be live throughout the morning. So just keep it pinned here to the SCCA official YouTube channel, to our coverage with Driver's Eye Live, and you'll be able to catch all of the racing action and the qualifying coverage that precedes it just after sunrise here from Sebring International Raceway.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us here today, and we'll see you tomorrow, bright and early, 8 a.m. Thanks for joining us.